What is up, everyone? My name is Jack Southall, back again with another video, and today I'm here with my WWE Raw and SmackDown reviews. Of course, Raw for November the 28th and SmackDown for November the 29th. Before we get into the reviews, I'll briefly touch on the 205 Live special that they aired on the WWE Network. I still haven't even seen it yet, but I'll make sure to get some time to watch it sometime in the future. But I do know that Rich Swann did beat Brian Kendrick to become Cruiserweight Champion, which I'm so happy about. Rich Swann is my favourite Cruiserweight at the moment, and I think he's awesome. So him winning the Cruiserweight title I'm more than happy for. So yeah, good job, Rich Swann. But we're going to talk about Monday Night Raw. We open up the show with Chris Jericho in the ring hosting the highlight reel, I believe, and his guest is Kevin Owens, and they pretty much make fun of Thanksgiving as it's like an American holiday, and how because they're Canadian, they're a superior breed of human, and Kevin Owens is thankful for Chris Jericho for being his friend, and he says, that's a wicked rad scarf, with anchors and all that. And that I believe Seth Rollins messed up last week and he Rollins himself, which is his new little insult. And he said that because last week there was a no DQ match between Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins, and Jericho was banned at ringside. So some guy in a Sin Cara mask punched Rollins, and it turned out to be Jericho. And I find it pretty ironic since Jericho and Sin Cara had that bit of a fight like a few weeks ago backstage, and he said, "Oh no, it wasn't me wearing a Sin Cara mask. It was Sin Cara wearing a Chris Jericho mask," which I thought was pretty funny. And so it announced that Rollins is not here tonight because he is off selling the powerbomb spot from the apron, or that's what we thought. And so Roman Reigns comes out. And all that, and so he says that Kevin Owens' reign as Universal Champion is a joke, and I think he stutters up his promo or whatever, and said that English is his second language, that's why he did it, and that if Jericho was there, he would have lost the title last week, and the week before that, and the week before that, and the week before that, and pretty much, Jericho was like, "You know what, Roman, I'm sick of your talking," and before he just says, "You just made the list," he tells Kevin Owens tells him, "Shut up," and all that, and then Roman Reigns, after he got freaked out, he's like, "Oh, joke, Owens joke, ooh hoo hoo," and after they have a bit of a squabble with each other, it finds out that there is going to be a match between Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns, and that if Roman Reigns wins, he gets a shot at the Universal title at Roadblock, despite the fact that they announced the match already, which makes zero sense. And so they go backstage right after that segment, after Mick Foley announced it, and Chris Jericho told Kevin Owens, "Wait, why'd you tell me to shut up? You can't just tell me to shut up," and all that. And so KO is concerned, I think people think I can't defend the title by myself. I need to prove them and all that. And so they have a bit of an argument, and Chris Jericho's like, "You know what? I'm done with you, man. I'm out." So it looked like that they were going to be done for the night, but I didn't think so. I think they're going to reunite sometime during the show. That's what I thought anyway. And that Mick Foley talks about Braun Strowman. He goes up to him, and he's had enough of his destruction. And so Mick is going to have to do something about Braun Strowman, because last week Braun kicked the shit out of Sami Zayn. And so Mick Foley says that, "Sami, look, you can't beat Braun Strowman. He's a monster, and just look at you." And Sami's like, "Yeah, if they were in the ring and all that." And Sami says, "You know what, I think you're a hypocrite for taking away opportunities from smaller guys when that's happened to you before. You're kind of turning into everything that you hate." So that's kind of interesting. I think Sami and Braun were supposed to have a match, and that's how this whole promo led up, so that was really interesting. Then after that, we get to Charlotte pretty much sitting, listening to music, getting pumped up for a match, when Dana Brooke comes out and talks to her about the match, and she's like, "You know what, can you piss off, Dana? I'm trying to get in the zone for my Women's Championship match tonight." This is her hometown of Charlotte, North Carolina, which I thought was funny. And so Charlotte's pretty much getting pumped up for a match against Sasha Banks later on. Then we get to Cedric Alexander versus Tony Nese in a Cruiserweight match, and they're doing this thing where Alicia is kind of having a thing for Cedric Alexander. I don't know how to feel about it, because Alicia Fox is watching backstage, and she's kind of really smiling when he's out there and all that, and so pretty much Tony Nese ends up beating Cedric Alexander for some reason, which is alright with me. I think Tony Nese has a lot of potential to do something great on the Cruiserweight division. I think he can be a standout for sure. So we get backstage. Jericho is still angry at Kevin Owens, so he's pretty much talking himself, getting all angry. And so he goes up to the limo where he's about to leave the arena. And so the limo driver pretty much gets out and all that, and he's like, "Wait, where are you?" And it's like, and then Seth Rollins is there for some reason, and Chris Jericho's like, "Wait, what the fuck?" And just Rollins starts beating the shit out of Chris Jericho and all that, and it was really awesome. And then Seth Rollins hits a pedigree on the top of a car, which was pretty cool. And that was a pretty awesome segment. Although I'm not a fan that Seth didn't at least try to sell his back injury and all that when Jericho saw him out of nowhere. But because, when you get hit with an apron powerbomb, you're kind of supposed to sell it as something that hurts. But, yeah, that's a bit of a shame there. But overall, that was a pretty cool segment. Pedigree on the car. What more could you ask for? Then we get to a women's title match between Sasha Banks and Charlotte. And so what happened was Dana broke up the bank statement during this, and they fight it to the outside, and they ended up getting a double count out, and Charlotte's like, "Yay, I can just move on with the rest of my day now," until Mick Foley comes out and it's like, "Nah, bitch, that's not happening. You know what, I'm going to announce a no DQ match for the championship later tonight." So that was pretty awesome. I'm happy that they went with that decision, and that's what happened later on in the night. So then we get to Enzo and Cass, and they're still in a feud with Rusev, and Enzo mentions how Lana knows how he's doing, and Big Cass just lists off a bunch of Thanksgiving food, and then Enzo with the zinger of the night, and he was talking about how she was trying to think about a certified G stuffing her turkey. How you doing? So, wow, that was a bit crazy by Enzo. And then they get in the ring. Rusev is pissed off about it and just kicks him in the cock and all that stuff. So, yeah, Big Cass went to his aid. And I think this is going to lead to a match between Big Cass and Rusev at Roadblock. I'm not really sure. So, we get to Rich Swann taking on Noam Dar in another Cruiserweight match. And Brian Kendrick's on commentary. And his whole thing is pretty much, and this was when he was still Cruiserweight champion, and he's pretty much blames everyone for his downfall. It was like, "Oh, I was out on the shelf for 7 years when they released me. It was WWE's fault, and it was Rich Swann's fault for, beating me, and it was Noam Dar's fault for costing my team in England in Scotland and all that." So he just pretty much plays the blame game on everyone for some reason. But Rich Swann hit a really nice kick on Noam Dar and wins the match. Then we get to a segment in a bar somewhere, and Sheamus and Cesaro are sitting there, and Cesaro is dressed up as James Bond, and he's like a shaken not stirred, when he's in a suit and all that. And so this guy comes up to Sheamus like, "Welcome to America, buddy," even though he's been coming here for quite a while, douchebag. And so they make fun of Sheamus and Cesaro for looking stupid and all that, and the people in the bar laughing to all the banter made about them is probably some of the worst acting I've ever seen, because it's like they pause for a little bit and then they go bah ha 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 ha. It was so cringe. And so Sheamus and Cesaro, they have enough of people taking the piss out of them, and they just beat the shit out of everyone in the bar and take out everyone, and they're like, "You know what? I'll serve the bar myself." That's what Cesaro does, and they both have their own alcohol, and they drink it, and they have a good time. So that was a fun segment. Then we get to Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns. Of course, in this match, if Roman Reigns does beat Kevin Owens, he gets the basement roadblock, even though the match wasn't announced. And pretty much Kevin Pearl Harbors Roman Reigns as soon as he gets in the ring. Also, Kevin Owens he was setting up the cannonball that he always does, and he did Roman's Raw, which was pretty funny. Tells him to go back to football and all that. Hits a senton to the back. hits a rest lock on him. There was a Superman punch to Owens while he was on the top turnbuckle. Superman punch off the steps, which looked pretty awesome. And another spear in the ring, and Roman Reigns wins the match. So, and all that. So, yeah, we kind of knew it was coming. Roman Reigns will face Kevin Owens at Roadblock, which really is Roman Reigns the best you've got? Seriously, you couldn't give an opportunity to someone else now. I know this is to build up Kevin Owens and, and all that, but really, Roman's the best you got. He's US champion at the moment. You can find someone else for him, surely. There should be plenty of guys coming to step up to Kevin Owens and be like, oi, I want to show up your title, mate, and all that. But I guess Roman's their only real choice that they can think of. Oh, well, instead of Seth Rollins. But anyway, we'll move on to the next segment, which is Paul Heyman getting interviewed by Michael Cole, something like that. And he talked about how, we messed up. We fucked up in our match at Survivor Series. And Paul Heyman is, with tears in his eyes and all that. And he says, he gets pissed off and all that. And then he says, Brock Lesnar is going to be in the Royal Rumble match if Goldberg is going to be in it. So it's announced Brock Lesnar will also be a part of the Royal Rumble match in January of 2017. So that should be pretty cool. What I'm expecting is, I feel like what I think is going to happen. Goldberg comes out first. He eliminates a bunch of guys. He gets a lot of momentum going. Spears, throws them out and all that. And then at maybe number 30 or whatever, Brock Lesnar shows up and he is pissed off. He just goes up to Goldberg. They beat the shit out of each other. Who knows? They might even eliminate each other. And just Brock Lesnar tries to get his revenge on Goldberg. So that's a little scenario I wouldn't mind seeing. That'd be pretty cool. Then we get to the New Day taking on Gallows and Anderson for the Raw Tag Team titles. Decent enough little tag team match. And just Biggie brought back the Suicide Spears. I thought they were done. I thought they were gone. And there was a bit where I thought Gallows and Anderson was going to win because Anderson had the tights of Xavier held up. But then Xavier reverses it and returns the favor on Anderson, and they retain the title. So, I don't think there's been a Raw Tag Title match announced yet. I think they might do a triple threat, which is Sheamus and Cesaro, Gallows and Anderson, and New Day for the titles. Yeah, that could be a thing that would happen. In my opinion, I can definitely see that happening. Then we get to the main event of Raw, which is a Falls Count Anywhere match for the Raw Women's Championship. Charlotte versus Sasha Banks. This was a great match, which I definitely expected. And I love how backstage before the match, Sasha was talking with Bayley, and how Sasha brought up the fact that Charlotte telling Ric Flair is dead. And, she thought it was so disrespectful and all that, and that she's going to dedicate the match to Ric Flair. And I thought, maybe Flair might come out in the Falls Count Anywhere match. There was a counter into the knees to the face. There was a chop between the two. And then I think Charlotte hit a big boot while they were on the apron, and Sasha just sold it really badly. There was a natural selection off the stairs, which was really cool. And Sasha grabs a Singapore cane and just unleashes on Charlotte. And then Charlotte does a crazy spot where she does a moonsault off the announce table, which was crazy. And they fight into the crowd area, and then Sasha locks in the bank statement between the guardrail, and Charlotte is her back's wedged against the guardrail, so she's just getting pulled back like that, and it's really hurting her. So she has to tap out, and Sasha Banks, for the third time, wins the Raw Women's Championship. Ric Flair comes out to congratulate her, and what I was thinking was have fun for that for the next 3 weeks until you drop it to Charlotte again. If they are going to continue this trend of Charlotte winning the title at pay-per-views and not losing and all that, which I do think is what they're going to do. Or maybe Charlotte's going to face someone else. Who knows? Maybe Charlotte faces Bayley or something, and Sasha goes after a new opponent like Nia Jax, because Nia Jax last week actually went up to Sasha and pretty much called her like a Barbie doll or whatever, and all that stuff. So maybe they could be feuding. That'd be cool. That'd be a new kind of feud. Wouldn't mind that. Maybe Charlotte goes on to face Bayley or Dana Brooke or something like that. And maybe they can implode. But yeah, that was a really good ending to Raw. Good episode in my opinion. So 2 good episodes. Good job WWE for that. We'll get to SmackDown with a contract signing between Alexa Bliss and Becky Lynch. Of course, this is the go-home show for TLC. And pretty much Becky said, you know what, you remind me of someone in my family. She's blonde just like you, and she loves throwing temper tantrums and throwing glitter all over the place. That's my 4-year-old cousin, so that was pretty funny. And, you know, Alexa, and everyone's laughing. She's like, don't react to that, don't be rude, and all that. So Becky then announced that she was like a honey badger, and Alexa is in for a rude awakening. And so Alexa's like, you know what, life isn't the Disney Channel, you know, all your dreams can't come true and all that, you know, living on your little potato farm, thinking about, you know, all that kind of stuff. Becky doesn't really appreciate that, and they fight all over the announce table, no, not the announce table, the contract signing table, and pretty much Becky gets pushed off the top rope through a table, and Alexa stands tall. So I think that should be a really good match. Did they make it a tables match? I don't know if they did. I think they might have done it later on in the night. But then we get to a match between Baron Corbin and The Miz versus Kalisto and Dolph Ziggler in tag team action. Baron ran into the cameraman, you silly bugger. There was a DDT on the floor to Miz. I believe that was Ziggler or Kalisto or whatever, and a super kick to Corbin on the outside, and like Ziggler even sold it. There was a toupee suicida by Kalisto. Always going to hit a toupee suicida, and Maurice hit Ziggler with a ladder because Ziggler and Miz are going to be in a ladder match at TLC. And Corbin breaks up Kalisto's pin with a chair and all that, and which ends in a disqualification. Then we had American Alphas on the getting interviewed, talk about how they've got powers as well, and mentioned how the Wyatt family thinks they have them as well, and that they're going to suplex them off the ground and they'll never get them down and all that something. But then the Wyatt family retaliates with their own problem, and that they aren't running because American Alpha tells them to run, and that Orton and Bray want Harper to send Kane back to hell, so they're going to have a match later on. And Carmella, after that segment, comes out to the ring and cuts another Savage promo on Nikki Bella, and how she's going to hit Nikki in the chest so hard with a chair that her implants are going to pop out. Holy shit, that was a bit savage. Seriously, Enzo, Cass, and Carmella, they need to chill, man. Nikki has heard enough and pretty much speared her and, you know, beat the crap out of her, and so that's going to set up their no DQ match at TLC, which honestly should be a lot of fun, and I'm actually kind of looking forward to that. Hoping they can do something really creative with that. Then we get a Ambrose Asylum with James Ellsworth, of course. Ambrose Asylum, the most classiest set of all the talk shows in WWE. At least it wasn't Miz TV, for Christ's sake. So Ambrose thinks that Ellsworth is drunk with power because, you know, he's got a SmackDown contract and all that, and he wanted him to do chores for him and all that shit. And pretty much AJ Styles has heard enough and pretty much says that Ellsworth is nothing more than a prop to insult him and a dummy. And pretty much Ellsworth mentions, you know what, I beat you 3 times, you know, and says, don't worry about the mutant, Ambrose, because fun and games are over at TLC. And then AJ throws Ellsworth all over the set, just beats the shit out of him, and then AJ throws the steps over Ambrose when he was on the ground. And then fucking James Ellsworth, man, he was like kind of like planking on the, not on the apron and facing down to the concrete, which I thought was funny. And he hit him with a brutal chair shot. And then, oh my god, AJ Styles hits a Styles Clash off of the fucking stairs. Like, my god. Which Ellsworth looks like he got hit pretty bad. They take him out to a medical facility or whatever. And yeah, brutal segment. Then we get to Kane versus Luke Harper. And Kane won. That's all I'm going to talk about with that match. And there was a backstage interview with Becky and how she accepts the tables match, so that is going to be happening. Now she's going to get revenge on that little bitch. So, dropping the bitch bomb, you know. Then we get to the main event, which is American Alpha taking on Orton and Wyatt. Number 1 contenders match for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. Jordan hit some sick arm drags, which looked cool. There was a superplex by Randy Orton that looked really, really solid. There was a grand altitude stopped by Orton with an RKO. Sister Abigail to Jason Jordan, and the Wyatts picked up the win, and all that stuff. And backstage, you know, what Heath Slater and Rhino were kind of watching the match. You know, there was some really solid stuff in that match as well. And, you know, AJ was like, you know what? You guys are nothing more than shitty SmackDown tag team champions. I'm the world champion, baby. And all that. And then Ambrose attacks AJ and just beats the crap out of him. Kind of in a, not a backstage area, like in a kind of chill out area backstage. And, you know, he's beating the crap out of AJ. And, like, Heath Slater and Ryan the whole time were just like, yeah, Ambrose, go get him. Woo, yeah, kick the shit out of him and not even doing anything, which I thought was funny. And that's how we ended SmackDown. And, yeah, solid episodes overall. I thought Raw was very, very well done this week. And SmackDown was pretty damn good. And I'm really excited for TLC. It should be a very fun pay-per-view. And, yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you have enjoyed it. Did make sure to leave a like, comment down below what you thought of Raw and SmackDown this week. Are you excited for TLC? And if you want to see more from me, hit that subscribe button. You'll be glad you did. Twitter and Instagram's at JackAmanLaw31 if you want to check me out there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm out in 3, 2, 1.